King. Hello, YouTube. Let's see. Today, topic is tutorials. Tutorials? Toggles. Right. So today I'm going to be showing you guys how to do some toggles. They're not too difficult once you at least get used to them. There's going to be three different types. We got the Radial Wheel, a normal Bool Toggle, so just a simple on and off, and an Int Toggle, where you can have multiple different items. So if you wanted to have, say, 4 items in your right hand, but you don't want them all, you don't want to have the ability to turn them all on at once, an Int or Radial Wheel would be perfect. So yeah, why don't we start? I guess I'll show, at least for people who are new to making VRChat avatars, a few places to keep in mind. You've got your hierarchy in the top left. This is where you're going to see everything like your camera, maybe if you have a light in the area, and your avatar. Your avatar is split up into materials in the very bottom. This is where your blend shapes and everything. So, for example, the shoes adjust. So they fill out a bit more. Not every mesh is going to have this. It's just depending on your avatar choice. So anyways, aside from that, you have your character's armature. This is basically your entire skeleton, and going up it, this controls everything that your avatar can do. So here's the tail, and if you expand the tail, starts at the root and expands up. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and here's the end. So basically you're going to need to know where you want to place the items, and basically put them into the bone that when you move your hand, let's say, you would want to put it into either your left or right hand. So the toggles that I'm going to be putting into my avatar today will be in my right hand. So spine, chest, right shoulder, right upper arm, right lower arm, right hand. This is where I'm going to be putting it. Now, I don't have the items there yet, so let's go ahead and set it up. Yeah, I'm not really going to do this too perfectly, since I just want to show the toggles part. So, Weave Remote. What you want to do is line it up before you put it into your hand. Makes it a little bit easier. You don't have to. You can put it into the hand and move it as much as you want before. But I find it's a lot easier, and simply move it. Here's the Weave Remote, and next item is putting in as a axolotl in a bucket. Minecraft style. 0.05. I've done this a few times, so I basically already know what to set it as. I'm going to disable the Weave Remote. Yeah, that should be fine there. This will probably be what it looks like in game when you test it out, but like I said, you'll probably want to test it beforehand. Okay, and same as before, drag it into my right hand, and I'll just go ahead and disable it. Okay, simple as that. Now, the next few tabs are your project folder. This is where you're importing all your models and anything else you're going to be using, like maybe shaders or just additional items. Next thing you're going to want to pay attention to is right beside your project folder is the console. You might occasionally get errors, stuff like maybe your avatar's fizz bones, or if your avatar had dynamic bones instead, might say something about a script is missing. If it says that a script is missing, most likely there's either an item or a script on an avatar's bone, or added onto one of the objects you just imported. You're going to want to find it and remove it. Last, the animations tab. We're going to be using this a lot. I'm not going to explain too much, but it's going to be used a lot. Now, I have my animator tab in the top right, but you usually will not see it like this. Most of the time, it'll be up here in right beside scene and game, but I like to drag it to the right side of my screen so I can have access to my avatar and animator at the same time. But it's wherever you want to put it. And last but not least, the inspector. Or I guess it's a second, because we also have the VRChat SDK. But the inspector is where you can see properties such as the transform, animator, pipeline manager, stuff like that. This is going to be very useful for toggles, as you will see later on. And lastly, VRChat SDK. I mean, it should be without mention that you need it. Now, we've got the 2 auto fixes because I imported 2 items, and these are fairly safe to click. You don't have to worry too much about them. Aside from that, let's just hop right in. Alright, so first thing we're going to want to do is switch on over to the animation tab. Do not mistake between animation and animator. Because the animator is the tab that we're going to be using to create toggles and everything like that, whereas the animation tab is where we're going to be making the animations for it. So let's go ahead and start. If you haven't already created an animation clip, you need to press this create button here. This is only for the controller for the animator here and nothing else. So don't worry about that. So we're just going to go ahead and create. Now, I suggest making a new folder either inside your avatar or inside the assets folder. I usually like putting it into my avatar to keep it nice and organized folder. And we're going to go ahead and name this custom animations. And for this one, let's see. Let's start with the Bool Toggle. It is probably the easiest out of the 3 to do. So we're gonna make a simple toggle for Wii remote. Wii on. You don't have to name it exactly that. Just name it however you want. Now you're gonna see a few new things here. we on it created a new animation. And cycling through this, you'll notice that my avatar is down here now. Well, that's because preview was turned on. Now, there's something I strongly suggest. Whenever you're done making an animation, turn off preview. If you save your if you save your project while your avatar is in this state, you're gonna have a lot of issues trying to fix it. I've had quite a few avatars break because I've accidentally saved over it when they're in this position. So, just something to keep watch out for. Keep an eye out for. Alright, now all we're going to do is there's a red button here. This is the record button. We're going to be using this for a lot of different things. But for now, we'll click record. So avatar goes into the default kind of posing. And what we're going to do is select the Wii remote. This is the Wii on. Oh, crap, has an animator, so we're just going to remove component. Now we're going to hit record once again. Now, for the Wii remote, we're just going to click on. And is now turned on whenever the animation is played, so we'll stop recording. So you'll notice that when I had pressed record, there was nothing here to start with. And as soon as I clicked the check mark, it was added. Now another way we could do this, I'm going to remove property, and simple as that. It's simple as pressing add property, armature, and finding your avatar. So spine, chest, right shoulder, right upper arm, right lower arm, right hand. Here's the Wii remote. Expand it, and the is active. We're going to click the plus mark and enable. It's similar doing that, but I find it easier just to press the record. Now, we're going to make the animation for Wii off. Now, once again, I'm going to hit record, click on the Wii remote, toggle it on. Now, you'll notice that the animation, the property was added here. Wii remote game object is active. I'm going to go ahead and click the check mark once more. Now you'll notice it's been turned off. Hit record, hit preview. So if I always hit preview, it's off. Switch to Wii on, hit preview, it's enabled, it's on. Now I'll simply show you how to use add property once more for the Wii remote. Expand armature, hips, spine, chest, right shoulder, right upper arm, right lower arm, right hand. Wii remote is active. Check. And it's off. Don't need to do anything. Because this box here, if it is off, it means that it is no longer, it's not active currently. Now, you'll notice VRChat, or the animation folder likes to make some extra marks at the end. We do not want these. A lot of the old tutorials will tell you to make 2, but they're useless. They have absolutely no use at all. So, yeah, we have our 2 animations. I'm going to make the same animations for the Oxalotl now. So, simply hit record, Click on Axolotl, enable, stop recording. Axolotl off. Hit record. Check mark, check mark. And stop. Recording and preview. Now, as you can see, if I was to preview, it's off. Perfect. Axolotl on. Preview. Preview. Perfect. All right. Now we have our we have our 4 animations. Now you might only be using one. It's up to you. Now, where do we go from here? Well, find your avatar in the hierarchy. You've already been expanding its armature, finding where it needs to go, putting your items. But what we want is the actual parent of the armature. So for mine, it's the Custa Chan. And this has everything your avatar needs to be uploaded to VRChat. Your avatar descriptor, pipeline manager, animator, and obviously transform. What we're going to be using is, well, we need to find the VRChat avatar descriptor. Now we scroll down and find playable layers FX. Now, perhaps you do not have a playable layers. So I'm going to go ahead and reset the default. And perhaps you don't have expressions. My avatar in particular does not. So I'm going to hit customize. If you already have it, that's perfectly fine. It's probably a lot easier. So we're going to make a new menu folder. And we're going to create VRChat avatars, expressions parameters. I'll go over this in a moment here. VRChat avatars, expressions menu. Now, the VRC expression parameters, this is where you store everything you need for toggles, for changing out materials, for literally everything you do customized on your avatar. The menu is the tiny little wheel that shows up when you hold your or press the menu button, and this will be used for stuff like I don't know, you might have clothing, you might have your fun toggles, but this is basically where you're going to be adding everything. Now, I like having my toggles set up in another menu, so I'm going to go ahead and do that really quick. Now, really easy, submenus. So you'll have your main menu that you first open up for your avatar for VRChat. Controls. This is where you add a new toggle, new button, new radial wheel, basically anything you might need. So, let's name this toggles. The type, submenu. Now, for submenus, you'll have a parameter. This parameter is only ever set when you want a specific value to be set only when that menu is open. Otherwise, it closes and gets reset back to default. So I don't really have a use case for it. Perhaps other people do, but I do not. So submenu, toggles. before I go too much further, if you do not have a menu, an expressions menu, or expression parameter set up for your avatar already, go ahead and do that now. So I'm going to go ahead and go to expressions and customize. Menu, VRC expressions parameter. Now I'm going to go ahead and create a new folder in the menu and call this FX folder. If you do not have it set up, go ahead and follow me. So we're going to make a new animation controller, FX menu. The FX menu holds everything like your avatar's hand controllers. So the way your fingers move when you press certain button combinations. It also holds, well, in our case, it's going to be holding our toggles. So, go back to my Custa channel. Scroll to the bottom, and in playable layers, find FX. Should be base, very end of it, default non-transform. Click, and that new animation, the animator that we just created here, the controller. Go ahead and click and drag to the FX. All right. Now we have our new animator here. Simple stuff. I'm gonna go ahead and create a new base layer, and I'm gonna name it Oxalotl. I should be it. All right. So we created a new layer. Now, before we go any further, the layer should always have a weight of 1. Otherwise, your animations will not play. So toggles will not work whatsoever. So whenever you make a new layer, make sure that's the first thing you set. All right. So we have our layer set up, but now we have this new tab, parameters. This is where that VRC expressions parameters comes in. We're going to go ahead and create a new one. And let's see, bool. We're only going to use bool for now. And let's see, since I'm setting up the axolotl first, I'll make a new bool and name it axolotl. Now make sure you remember what this is, because we're going to be using it. And in toggles, I'm going to add a new control. I'm going to change this to a toggle, name it axolotl. And for parameter, axolotl, make sure you select that one, the new one that you just made. In animator tab, we're going to be making a new bool. You want to guess what that bool is? That's right, the one we just made, the parameter, axolotl. Make sure it's set to default off, so no check mark. If you set it for on, this will be what the default state is, though that's mostly set up in the parameters. So just kind of match it. So say if I wanted it on by default, I'd click this to click this. However, I want it off. I do not want it on at the same time. All right. So I'm going to show you any state first, because this is the one that I said had the ability to do two things, two different ways. So we have the avatar and menu. No, wait, would have been custom animations. So we have 4 different animations here. So for the any state, what we want to do is drag the off animation first. Next, drag the on animation. The reason is because entry will always set this to default. It'll set the default first. So axolotl off will be first. So when you first load in, people will not see whatever toggle is on or off. They'll see it as off, so they won't see it at all. Make transition, so any state. This is always running, no matter what. It'll check any condition, and basically the first animation it finds in the list will be fired first. So we have it going to axolotl off, and then make another transition to axolotl on. We'll click the new line that was just created to axolotl off, and we'll see conditions. We don't have to worry about this part just yet because we have not made the we're not using the other method just yet, which I'll show next. We're gonna add a new list of conditions. Axolotl true, but since this is off, we want it false. Axolotl on. We're gonna add a new condition. Axolotl true. Perfect. We don't need to do anything else. But let's say we didn't want to set it up like this. Well, I'll set it up with the Wii remote. Because I think that'll be fun. I'm going to set a bool, and we'll set Wii. Layers. Wii. Similar to before, made a new layer, set the weight to 1. Perfect. So, dragging the Wii off, and then Wii on. Now, instead of right-clicking any state, we're actually going to go ahead and right-click Wii off, make transition to Wii on to Wii off. Now, we have two different arrows here, one going to on and one going to off. We're going to click the one going to on, make a new condition, Wii, set it to true. Now click the line going to Wii off, make a new condition, switch to Wii, and change it to false. Now, this is where it starts getting a little bit confusing. So the settings here, this is the point of which we need to show a little bit of interest in the timing here. We're going to change this all the way to 0 so that it does not take any time to change between animations, and turn off has exit time. This should make it so animations are instant. In a way, this is the more ideal situation. And let's make sure it does not. Okay. So we have the Wii remote. Make sure that if they're just toggles, make sure the loop time is off so it does not loop. So this can having like this can reduce lag, although for the most part it's fairly useless for toggles, but it's good that I show it anyways. Now I'm gonna go ahead and go to expressions. So remember how I set a bool for axolotl, but I didn't do that for the Wii? Well, I have to do that now. It's a lot easier to add it to the VRC expressions parameters first, but it is not required. But it is required to add it to the expressions parameter before you add it to the toggles menu. So I've now got a new control. And I'm going to go ahead and set it for Weaver mount. The name does not need to match the parameter. This is just, the name is what you'll see in game. So, I will now change the parameter to Bool. Perfect. Alright, now I'm going to go ahead and just go and build and test. Let's see. Let's go ahead and wait. Perfect. We're going to go ahead and open up VRChat. So whenever you build and test an avatar, but this is the first time you're building and testing it, if you had VRChat open in the background, you will have to reopen it. Oh crap, it's opening in Steam VR. Well, that's not fun. We need it in PC VR. VR? Ah. Well, I guess I'll just open up library, VRChat, click play. Non-Steam, non-VR. Alright. Here we go. Now we wait for it to start. Once again. Do, 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 do. Alright. Now, avatars, we're going to go ahead and switch to other here. Now, is it this one? Yes, it should be this one here. Perfect. Okay. So, hand controls perfectly fine, but because that should be the default. But expressions, and look, the new menu I made, toggles. Now, you remember that I put them in the right hand. We're going to change to axolotl. And there it is. In the exact spot I put it. And toggle off. Now, the Wii remote. Toggle on. Toggle off. Toggle on. Toggle off. Toggle on. Now, you'll probably have noticed that there's a delay between turning it off and pay attention really quick. Off was instant, on was instant, off, on, off, on. Turning on was a little bit of a delay. It's a bit odd, isn't it? Well, why don't we go take a look then? Wii remote. Turning it on. There's a slight delay. Well, would you look at that? There is has exit time. That's no good. Now, if I was to go and build and test, you'll notice that there's it doesn't do that with the axolotl, or at least not to the extent. It's constant, whereas there can be a really long delay with the Wii remote. We don't want that. Now, we're going to go ahead and switch over to something. Yes. Dodo. Avatars, switch back to Costa-chan. Expressions, toggles, Wii remote on, Wii remote off, on, off, on, off, on, off. Now, the advantage is that toggles switch instantly like this, but it can be very annoying if you had a animation that took a long time to play out. So that was the Bool toggle. Pretty easy to do. These are the more common types and honestly probably the easiest to do. Now, let's go ahead and move on to the Int Toggle. This one's not really that much more complicated. It's pretty easy to do. So, I'm going to go ahead and switch everything over. Switch back to Inspector. Now, I no longer need this. And we're going to go ahead and switch this over to right hand item. Seems good. So, like before, I'm going to make a new parameter. I'm going to need to remember what it is, but instead of making a bool this time, it is an int. Default should be 0 whenever it's off. Toggles. We're going to go ahead and delete these two. And in the FX menu, we're going to go ahead and delete this one. And I'm going to go ahead and clear this. And I'll go ahead and just delete it, just to show it, and show how to properly make a new parameter and everything. So, VRChat expressions, we know what it is, an int, right hand item, toggles. I'll get to that in a moment. I want to have the expressions menu, everything set up, so make a new int, name it right hand item, and that's good. Can't really do too much just yet, so I'll make a new base layer or new layer. We're gonna name it right hand weight max 1. Perfect. Go back to menu, toggles, add a toggle. Let's see, axolotl. We're gonna change that to toggle. Right hand 1. We're gonna go ahead and add a new toggle or a new control, and this one's gonna be Wii controller. Should be good. Change it to toggle. Now, here's the difference between the bool and the int. I can now set the Wii controller on the same parameter as the axolotl, except this time I'm going to change the value to 2. Pretty easy. You'll see the benefit. Right, I guess I should show you the downside to the bool. I've completely forgot about this, honestly. Now, the downside to the bool is you're able to have multiple different items toggled at the same time. That can be an upside, but a downside at the same time. So, as you can see, I've now got a Wii controller and the axolotl in my hand at the same time. That's, depending on what it is no good. So, having an int makes this super convenient. But convenience also causes issues. I'm going to go ahead and delete these because I no longer need them. Delete. And I'm going to go ahead and delete them out of here too. It's not required to delete them out of here, but it's up to you. Okay. Now, animation name. I'm going to go ahead and make this toggles off. Now, you probably have noticed that I named it toggles off instead of only axolotl off or weave off. The reason for this is because you need to set both the items off for this one because it's the int. So now we're gonna go ahead and spine blah blah blah. We're gonna toggle this on and then off, on then off. So you've got one animation for both of them being set off. Now create a new clip. Now here is the next one. So we're gonna go ahead and have axolotl save. Now you notice I didn't type axolotl on because there's no real need. So record. We have the axolotl. We're gonna toggle it on. Select the Wii remote, toggle it on, then off. This is only required for the int, not the bool. Because you're going to be cycling through the ints, so you're going to have 1, 2, 3, 4. There's going to be no chance for the other item to be turned off like there is the bool. So, we now have the axolotl toggle. The animation for the axolotl. Now, we're going to make a new clip. We're going to set it for Wii. Hit record. This time we're going to turn the Wii roll on and toggle the axolotl on and then off. Now, we've got the animations all set up. I'm going to go ahead and make sure that I did not screw up anything here. Perfect. Alright. So this time we only need 3 animations instead of 4. That is a convenience that the other one does not provide. So, back here, we have the 3 animations we need. Right here. Perfect. First one I'm going to drag in, toggles off. Then it depends on the order that you want. I'm going to be setting it to axolotl then Wii, because that's how I have the menu set up. Wii remote is number 2, with axolotl is number 1. So we're going to right click, make a new transition to these 3. Alright, and here's where it starts getting quite a bit different from Bool. We have 3 different transitions now. This layer is now handling 2 toggles instead of just 1. We're going to click the new line going from any state to toggles, and you'll notice when you make a new condition and select right hand item, or whatever your toggle is, or parameter is, you'll notice that there's greater, less, equals, or not equal. We're going to be changing it to equals. Now, since it's toggles off, we want it to equal 0. For axolotl, we want to add a new condition, right hand item, equals 1. Because our expressions parameter here for toggles, axolotl value 1. Perfect. Alright. Now switch over to Wii remote, add, we're going to select right hand item, equals 2. And simple as that, we're done with animations, at least for int. Built-in test. Now you'll notice that I was able to enable both these at once here. And I could also turn them on separately or whatever. Perfect. All right, test built. So we're gonna switch out and hope we don't get an error. I hate when that happens when you're testing avatars. All right, everything looks roughly the same. But if I click this and then click this one, you'll notice that they switch. I can no longer have it on at the same time. And when I toggle it off, just like that. Now, if you're only having it set up for 2 items, you could take it a step further, but it might get very annoying once you're past a certain point. But I'll go ahead and show it anyway. I'm going to go ahead and delete that one, that one, that one. And I'm going to go ahead and set it up like this. Toggles off. Now, I'm going to go ahead and edit the animations as well. Axolotl. And we delete. Again, this is all up to you. We're going to make a transition to this one, make a transition back and back. Now, when right hand item no longer equals to 2, but it equals to here. So what I'm doing here is whenever my value equals to 2, it gets the Wii animation plays. And it'll keep playing until it does not equal to 2 anymore. And it'll go back to turn everything off. Now we're going to go ahead and do the same here. Whenever it equals to 1, it goes and plays the axolotl animation. Whenever it does not equal 1 anymore, it'll go back to toggles off. Now, you're going to want to pay close attention to when you're doing this because it can be a very big hassle. I'm going to go ahead and change this timing. No, oops. All right. And just like this, if I was to say go and upload it now, this should work fine. Wait for it to say build is done. Avatars, switch out. Dodo. Switch over to Custachan once again. Axolotl. Off. Took a bit there. That's a bit odd. Off. On. Now, that is the very big reason of why I do not like this method. It is slow. But it is a way you can... Ah, right, that's actually because I forgot to turn off has exit time. Well, I guess that's a very good show of why you want exit time off. Alright, now, why don't we go ahead and switch on over to VRChat here. Switch out, switch back in. Alright. Well, why don't we go ahead and do some toggles. Wow, look how fast that is all of a sudden. Now, as long as the animations aren't looping, this can it's great for optimizing animations and everything like that. So if some of your friends are on Quest, they won't lag quite as bad. But it's a very minuscule difference, and the only time it will actually affect them is when you have, say, over 15, 20 toggles, which is very difficult to do. And I mean, as long as not everybody is doing it, ship it perfectly fine. All right, now let's move on to the last toggle. The radial wheel. This is very convenient. This takes every single thing you might have been, every single toggle that you've been making, and kind of simplifies it into one big jumbled mess. So you know that the int toggle that I just showed you. This makes it 100 times easier. But like the int toggle, uh, you'll have to make 3 different animations similar to before that all have the other objects do you want off, toggled off as well. So we have the axolotl here, but this is the Wii remote. So we want to make sure that its value for off is added. Same for the axolotl. We want the Wii remote toggled off. So we'll make sure that's off. So we have our animations, right? Perfect. Well, let's go back to our menu. Now, I no longer need the int, but I'll just add a new one. Right hand item, similar to before. For this time, though, we want to float because the radial wheel requires a float. So this time, we're going to delete that toggle and we're going to go and make a new control named right hand item. Now, it might look a little bit confusing at first. I completely understand. So, we make a new control, switch type to radial wheel, name it whatever you want it to show up as. Parameter. We do not want a parameter set. We want it as none. The parameter is, in my opinion, pretty useless. What we want to set is the parameter rotation. So we're going to be setting right hand item. Simple as that. Now back to the menu here. I'm going to go back to our FX menu. And right hand, we're going to delete all of this. In parameters, this was a float. We cannot have, or so that was an int. We cannot have that. We want a float. And I think I need a right hand item, something like that. Make sure. Yep. You can always copy this and then paste it as a new item. Make sure that it was a float. I did. And similar to before, make a new layer. Make a weight. Alright, and now here is the biggest difference. We're no longer going to be dragging our animations into here. Instead, we're going to create a new blend tree. Blend trees are really convenient for a lot of different things. Whether you want to have your color option or your clothing have different color options, or you want to toggle between different hats, or you want to have different items in your hand at different times. Well, blend tree is super useful for that. So, what are we going to do? We're going to make a new blend tree, and we're going to double click it. Now, depending on your menu, you might have a bunch of different parameters. So we're going to select the new parameter that we made. So mine is right hand item. This is the reason why it has to be a float. It cannot use ints or bools. It has to be a float. Well, what are we going to do here? We're going to make a new motion field. And since we have 3 animations, it'll be 1, 2, 3. Now, you can have it automatic. This will automate everything for you, whether from your item being on to item being off, or different colors, however you want to set it up. So, you can go into custom animations. The first one you want to have is animation toggles off. Then the next is all up to you. I'm gonna put axolotl and then Wii remote. However, you could actually switch it up. Have axolotl last, Wii remote middle, but I don't want that. Personally, I don't like that. All right, and after this, it is ready for upload. It is that easy. Build and test, and let's wait. Once again, you will see that my menu has changed. Avatar built. So, switch out. Avatars, switch back into Chan. Alright. Time for radial wheels. Expressions, toggles. Look at this, right hand item. Now it's got its percentage. 0%. Axolotl gets turned on until about 100%. Now, there is a small issue you might have noticed. Why does anywhere between basically like 1% and 99% have the axolotl? That is an issue with VRChat's Radial Wheel. That is something we can fix. It is very annoying, and personally, I don't like the way it is fixed, but it is how it's done, I guess you could say. Go back to, we can leave toggles, we don't need to worry about that. What we do need to worry about is the menu. Item layer, go back into blend tree, our 3 toggles. Now, I'm gonna turn off the automate thresholds. You don't have to, you can change it up. I'm gonna go ahead and change threshold of toggles off to 0.1. And now I'm gonna go ahead and add 2 more motion, actually just 1 more. 1 more should be fine. And I'm gonna go ahead and change this to 0.11 and go back to my custom animations. I'm gonna go ahead and replace axolotl, or sorry, Wii with axolotl, and change this to 0.5, and the last animation field to 0.51, and change this to Wii. Now, my simple explanation for this is the blend trace tries to do exactly that. It tries to blend animations. So, see this parameter right here? Right in the very center? It tries to play both animations at once. So, when toggles off and on, it's not too big of a deal. Because you can set 0 and it'll be off. Um, but anywhere past 0 and it's automatically turned on. It doesn't really start affecting it until you hit about 0. Well, 0.9, because VRChat doesn't really start the other animation until it's close to the value. So it's trying to play both the uh, axolotl and Wii animation at the same time. So all the way down here, and the Wii remote will automatically start right about 0.5. So the axolotl animation should play from 0.1 to 0.5, which is about 10% to 50%. After 50%, it should be Wii remote, and before 10%, it should be toggles off. So all toggles should be off. So we're going to switch back to Dodo. Now back to Costachan. Expressions, toggles, right hand item. Now you'll notice that it's automatically turned on. Well, that's annoying. It doesn't matter too much. 0% turns it off. Moment of truth, 50% still on. I hate toggles sometimes. uh, that is a bug that needs to be fixed. I am determined to fix it. But that's mostly it. The best way to fix it would be to add a new motion field and set it up for the Wii remote animation. It's very annoying, and there's a way to fix it. It's just honestly not the greatest. And in fact, I'm gonna go ahead and just change this to include this. Okay. And this will fix it. It's just an awful way to fix it, really. How do I keep doing that? Avatar. Switch back to Custachan. Expressions, toggles, right hand. Right? And then it's still not working. This is so frustrating. I hate toggles. I hate them so much. Why did they gotta do this? Axolotl, it's like VRChat glitch, I guess. I don't feel like I have the patience to fix it. So might leave it off here. This video is getting quite long already, so alright, well, I guess that's the end. Blend tree is more useful for colors and everything, but toggles overall, like items you won't want to hold, I would just create with buttons. It makes it a lot easier. That is my final piece. I hope this helped, and any questions you might have, you can go ahead and leave in the comments. Otherwise, have fun creating some VRChat avatars. Perhaps I'll show some other tutorials later. If you guys have any other suggestions, I guess leave them as well. Uh, have fun. See you.